Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. All right. Open Forum Friday. You can talk about anything that you want to talk about. Now, I'm going to jump gears with you. You heard me kind of briefly mention. Folks, let me just give you a couple things. When they give a poll, there's tabs, they call them, that go with polls. What that basically is, it says, this is what you, to be legitimate, this is what you have to have for a poll for the media to print it. Who pays for it? It's very important to know who pays for a poll. Now, there's a group out there with media and pollsters that's how they operate. But that's not how the advocate, John George, operates. Oh, no. That's not how Tyler Bridges, the deputy press secretary, operates. Now, let me explain this to you. I told y'all John Bel Edwards is in deep doo-doo, and he is. He's in big trouble. He's in the low 40s. I told y'all the advocate would be the one to try to rally back. The other day, Brandon, you remember they had a poll that was paid for by Ralph Abraham. They sent it to the advocate. They wanted to know crosstabs, every question, the order the questions were answered. This is important. Who you talk to, how many whites, how many blacks, how many Democrats, how many Republicans, how many men, how many women. This is what I mean by crosstabs. Okay? And it matters. It matters who you talk to get to a poll. But if you're the advocate, you just put the poll out there because your angle is, I want to elect John Bel Edwards, even though he's going to get crushed. He got $10 million. We got to save him. So Tyler Bridges, he called him the staff writer. What they ought to put is they ought to put Edwards' staff writer. They put out a poll. Support for Trump in Louisiana plunges. Now look, I'm telling you, I'm talking to pollsters. Nobody has Trump under about 54 to 60-some%. Nobody. But all of a sudden, Vern Kennedy comes to the rescue and says Trump's plunging. They don't want Donald Trump down here. Understand they published the poll. Let me tell you what they didn't give us. They didn't tell us who paid for it. I'm going to get back to that in just a second. They didn't give us who paid for it. They didn't tell us the questions. They didn't give it an order of the questions. They didn't say how many blacks, how many whites, how many Democrats, how many Republicans, how many men, how many women. None of that. They didn't give us one crosstab, not one question, not one thing. And all of a sudden, Vern Kennedy has a poll, which, by the way, Edwards is still at 45% in a bogus poll. What are you complaining about? Because it's headlines. Support for Trump in Louisiana plunges. Poll says here's how this could help Edwards. In other words, Trump can't come now. Trump better come. Trump just came here a few weeks ago. Was it a month ago, Brandon? Whatever it was. Donald Trump rode, I forget the highway that's in Sulphur, Louisiana, down to Hackberry. It was car to car, folk to folk, folks down the thing, all the way down the plant where they could stand up. People were calling me and said, this is unbelievable. I've never seen this many people. And Vern Kennedy, and they know if Trump comes, he's the pep rallying for the Republican Party, and he ain't saving Bel Edwards' rear end. But listen to this. The Advocate by John George, he owns the Times-Picayune, he owns the Advocate in Baton Rouge, and he owns the Advocate in Lafayette. He can print anything he wants, and he doesn't care if it's bogus. But if you give out a poll, and you're not going to give the tabs, the media has an obligation, you ready? Not to run it. Not to run it. They don't have an obligation to run a poll. They're not going to tell you where they get the numbers because they want the perception. Bel Edwards is doing great, and he's not doing great. This is a poll sent out there. He's getting crushed, and they know he's getting crushed. We got 70-something thousand less registered Democrats, 90-something thousand more registered Republicans. That's 160,000 swing. David Vitter's not running this time, boys and girls, and Edwards has a liberal voting record. And if you read the whole article, it's about the church group and evangelicals. And it's about his pro-life, and everything is pro-Edwards in the article. But yet, what about the poll? The poll is bogus. They give Tyler Bridges as a joke. He needs to carry his rear end back to the country he lives in when he's not lying about Bill Edwards. Go back with his foreign wife. Nothing wrong with having a foreign wife. Get your butt back over there and quit lying to the people in Louisiana. You talk about a bogus reporter. You talk about fake news. This is a fake poll. They gotta help him. And it's about Trump and how bad Trump's doing. Well, I'll tell you what you do. Let me ask you people in Shreveport, in North Louisiana. Trump comes to the CenturyLink Center. You think y'all gonna get more than 100 people there? What about if he comes to Lafayette in the Cajun Dome? Anybody thinks that there might be a few people show up at the Cajun Dome for Donald Trump? Just kind of curious. Fill it up. This is so bogus. And then wait till I get to the numbers. I'm gonna share this with you. Tyler Bridges, John George, and the Advocate is becoming a joke. This is a bogus. It's proven the point what I'm telling y'all. Edwards is in deep trouble. He's in big trouble. And then they got Vern Kennedy, and here's the kicker. Vern Kennedy has been on the payroll for John George's for many, many years, paid him. And then he comes out with a poll, and he does exactly in a newspaper what you don't supposed to do. Don't give out a poll. Who paid for it? It's not an article. What are the tabs? What were the questions? How were they answered? How many blacks? How many whites? How many Republicans? None of that. Wait till I get to the poll. This is ridiculous. They have a media. Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline. Promise we'll squeeze some phone calls in. Just a little bit more. I just asked Brandon. They like to have tabs when they release polls. That's a general consensus from media in general. And you got to have tabs, Brandon. Okay, so Brandon, what can happen? I can do a poll. Let me make up one in my head. Bill Edwards is at 36%. Where you get that from, Moon? Why should you care? You didn't ask Vern Kennedy where he got his. Tyler Bridges didn't say where he got his from.
Yeah.
Okay, they said Vern Kennedy did the poll. Who paid for it? Well, Brian, I got Edwards at 36%, and I got Doc at 38%. I got Rasponi at 24%. Where you getting that from? What? I'm not telling you that. This is the poll I got. It's just this poll that I just made up in my mind is no different than Vern Kennedy. 600 people he called. They did let us know they called 600 people, but they won't let us know who. So here's what they tell us. I told y'all, they are scared to death Donald Trump is coming in here, and he's coming. If he doesn't come, Trump's making a major mistake, but Trump's coming. They don't want him in here. So they sent out a poll telling people Trump's not too popular. Folks, I talked to two pollsters this morning. Two. And both of them told me they both saw the poll. They don't want to comment on polls, so I didn't get them to come on. Yeah. They both told me there's a general media, there's an organization out there that sets with pollsters in the media. And what they say, there's a standard. There's a professionalism to this. Tyler Bridges is showing his unprofessionalism. John George is proving, I want to be governor, and I'm never going to be governor, so I'm going to be governor from the newspaper. There's a professionalism in poll. You don't release it to the media, but if they do release it to the media, you get all the tabs on it. Where's the tabs on Vern Kennedy's polls? Who paid for the dang poll? This is professionalism. But John George has never been a newspaper guy. Tyler Bridges has no professionalism in him. He's a little wuss. He's a runt. That's what he is. He's a runt. Okay? So there's a standard poll. They didn't do that. 600 likely voters. Well, we don't know that. Who did he poll? Donald Trump's numbers are dropping. You people that went see Donald Trump when he went to Hackberry, were they dropping? The first thing they tell us is that, Brandon, they don't tell us the order of the poll. How did they ask the question? But they say, oh, no, Louisiana voters by 49 to 41 opposed the wall. We ain't building a wall here. 49 to 41 opposed the wall. Trump's weaker than expected poll results, but here's the funny thing about it. They really don't give us what Trump's numbers are. His weaker than expected poll results will likely have consequences on this year's governor's race because many Republicans have been saying late in the campaign the endorsement's going to help him.
Well, you would think if it was weaker than expected, you'd want to put that number out there.
If the poll number holds up, Trump might be too weak. Brandon, Tyler Bridges and John George, and don't forget, Vern Kennedy has been on the payroll for John George's for a long time. Don't know if he still is, but he's been on the payroll for the man. He worked for the man. He worked for him. In Kennedy's poll, Edwards has 46%, followed by Abraham and Rasponi. And then if you add the 90% plus vote, they're saying Edwards is at 58%. Holy! I tell you what, I'll bet anybody whatever they want to bet Edwards is not at 48%. This is the stuff the man's putting in there, but he's giving us no tabs. And Tyler Bridges, Mr. Ignorant, Mr. Deputy Press Secretary for Bell Edwards. Folks, they are hurting. This man is losing this race, and we know it. They know it. So they're trying to come up with something. And he starts talking about how he's pro-life and pro-Christian and all that bull. Advocate this week, Kennedy shows that these surveys by 54-37 margin favor. Now listen to this. In Louisiana, 54-37 margin favor electing someone else than Donald Trump. You really believe that in Louisiana? Brandon, everywhere I go, people are sticking with Trump. And he got 58%. He's saying Trump's down to 37. Let me give you another little survey. Bernie Pence and I did a poll a couple years ago for Bell Edwards. And he released the tabs. And he told us who paid for it. And he released the questions. Bell Edwards had a 66% approval rating. Kennedy says he's at 52 now on a bogus poll. Only 47% of voters polled proved Trump's performance. I don't believe that, Brandon. As a matter of fact, I know it's not true. Let's see, whatever else. Bull. Oh, Kennedy polls contain some bad news for Edwards. However, 45% of the voters polled said Louisiana's on the wrong track and getting worse. Really? Why would you put that in there? You had to put a couple negatives. By the way, they do mention that this guy's been getting it wrong some too. Yeah, let me tell you, remember how Edwards has been running on the economy, Brandon, saying the jobs are coming back? You know what Kennedy says? One possible reason with voters' dissatisfaction, non-farm employment from January 2016 to April this year is in a decline, Brandon. Now, Brandon, remember, this is June. It's even worse. Edwards has told people with our roaring economy, we're getting better tax collection. Who's lying? Edwards, Vern Kennedy? Voters gave him a 52% approval rating. Folks, and when they do head up, Abraham is at 40. Edwards is 45 to 28. Brandon, 45 does not win elections. Folks, this whole thing is to bash Trump. This whole thing is to get you to believe. And by the way, get you to believe of something that's not there. No questions. Who paid for it? My gut feeling is John George, who pays Kennedy, who put him on the dang payroll. John George paid for the poll to beef up Bell Edwards because Bell Edwards is in deep doo-doo. If you don't know what that is and you got a dog, walk outside, and if your shoes smell bad when you come in, you'll see what I mean. He's in big trouble. How can anybody, by the way, you know what they said too, Brandon? The Advocate, here it is. This was in the Advocate, of course. Advocate named best newspaper in the state by Louisiana Associated Press. That's the best newspaper. The one that tells a lie. 10th consecutive year to win the award. Folks, when you see this poll is made for people, Bell Edwards, John George, Tyler Bridges, Jim Beam, little crazy man with the Gannett newspaper, Hilburn, they don't care about telling you the truth. They have their angle. They have their turns. Typical Democrat Party. Typical. This poll should have never been printed. If the Advocate understood what professionalism is, they would have never printed this. This is silly. They're getting their boop handed to them, and they know it. So they have to come up with a bogus poll to stop the bleeding of everybody knowing what this man's done to this state. And John George's papers, my God, how people read that crap. How in the world do they read that? How do you do a poll? You don't tell us who's paying for it. You don't tell us what the questions are. You don't tell us how the questions were asked. You don't have the tabs, Republicans, Democrats, whites and blacks and males and females. That's all part of a poll so you can see if the... By the way, Brian, you know the other thing they didn't give? You remember how they say we got a poll of likely voters and then they always say what? With a plus or minus what? 2, 3%? That's the margin of error? Don't they always do that? Not on this one. 600 likely voters. They don't say they had a percentage of error 2 to 3% up and down. You know how they do on polls? Not on this one. This is Tyler Bridges, folks. This is John George. This is Bell Edwards. This is what I meant. I want the truth. I love this state. They don't love this state. They just want to win. I love this state. I want to change it. I want it to be a great state. This is laughable. This is unprofessional. If this is the new journalism, no wonder Donald Trump named them fake news, because it sure is a fake damn poll. By the way, somebody just pointed out this so-called poll, Brandon. You ready? You ever heard of Steve Scalise?
No, I've heard that name a couple times.
Do you really think if you had to bet, most people in our state have heard of Steve Scalise when he got shot?
Yep.
Okay. In this poll, 59% of the people they polled said they didn't know of a Scalise. Never heard of him.
Dang.
I want you to think about this poll. 59%, and Scalise enjoyed a 26-14 favorable to unfavorable rate.
These even registered voters?
Steve Scalise, they wanted Steve to run because he was just going to walk in. It'd been easy. Still going to win. We still going to win. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. This is the Vern Kennedy poll. Who paid for it? We don't know. What were the questions? I don't know. How many whites voted in this? I don't know. How many blacks were in this? I don't know. How many Democrats voted in it? I don't know. How many Republicans were in this poll? I don't know. How many independents? I don't know. Do you even know what state you're in? I don't know. This is Tyler Bridges. When I nicknamed him press secretary for Bell Edwards, did I not nail him? And John George, I told y'all, this guy wants to be governor. He wants to be governor through his newspapers. Folks, I don't make stuff up. I don't have to. It's sitting right here in front of me. But they know the poll got out there. They know somebody going to say, well, Bell Edwards is really kicking my... And he's not. He's at 45%, even in this dumb poll. His poll was to pop Trump, to tell you Trump's not popular. I hope somebody in the delegation shows this to Trump, because Donald Trump he drove all the way down that road to Hackberry, and he saw the people. I've talked to 2 pollsters, both of them, because I wanted to get a side of both of them, and both of them said Trump runs around 60% in this state. Never have they seen a poll with him less than 60. But here comes Vern Kennedy. Vern, what question do you ask about Trump? I don't know. Who paid you? I don't know. Yet it hit the Advocate, baby. It hit the Advocate as a real poll. Anyway, we'll hear from a lot more people. Open Forum Friday. We'll take a break. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Don't go nowhere, folks. I know. Unlike Vern Kennedy and the Advocate, who don't know nothing. We'll be right back.